Bradford mother of two left wheelchair-bound after taxi driver plowed into her as she dashed home. A mother of two has been left wheelchair-bound after a taxi driver ran a red light and plowed into her as she rushed home to care for her disabled daughter. Natalie Coates, from Bradford, West Yorkshire, was a full-time carer for her 13-year-old daughter, Bryony, until she was hit by a car in December 2014. Bryony has a series of life-limiting conditions including quadriplegic cerebral palsy that leaves her in a wheelchair and in need of 24-hour care, but after her own accident Ms. Coates can no longer look after her. The 32-year-old was found lying in the road by her partner, Jason Coates, as he made his way home. She was left with bulging discs in her spine that cause her such agony she is unable to clothe, wash or even cook for herself. Mr. Coates was forced to quit his sales manager job last year to care for both Bryony and his partner, but NHS doctors were unable to help her and she was forced to go private. They are now unable to go out as a family as the NHS have failed to provide Natalie with a power-assisted chair, and it is impossible for Jason to push two wheelchairs. Now the couple are in a race against time to raise enough cash to have the 3 bulging discs replaced at a cost of £22,000 each, as specialists warn she could be left permanently paralyzed if they don't have the operation soon. Ms. Coates said, "It has been soul-destroying to go from being Bryony's primary caregiver, looking after her because she is in a wheelchair, to now being in a wheelchair myself and unable to care for her. My life changed overnight. Seeing Jason now do everything I used to do but now can't do, it's not nice at all. I want to be there for my children and there for Jason as a partner, but I can't give them the attention they need or what they require. It makes me feel less of a mother, to be honest. Bryony needs 24-hour care and it's heartbreaking that I can no longer give it to her. If I were to get this operation and it were to fix me, it would give me my life back." A private specialist warned the couple that if her back is left untreated, the discs could become sharp over time and could sever the spinal cord, leaving her permanently paralyzed. Ms. Coates was walking home from the gym and was due to go and pick up Bryony when she was hit by the taxi as she crossed a road only 5 minutes from her home. As she lay in the street being helped by passers-by, Mr. Coates was driving home with their other daughter Alicia, 6, when he spotted his partner's white handbag on the floor, and his heart sank. He said, "There was an instant overwhelming sense of fear. But I just knew, my heart sank. It was the worst moment, especially then when I saw her black coat on the floor. A taxi driver had gone through the red lights, despite her green man showing. He went right through and ran her over. Workmen had stopped the taxi driver. Without them I suspect he'd have just driven off." After being rushed to hospital, Natalie had a number of court scans due to a cut to the head and remained there for a week and a half. Following the accident she was unable to use her right arm, but she claims doctors were unable to diagnose the cause and put it down to muscle pain. The situation got increasingly worse, and Ms. Coates awoke one morning in September last year unable to move at all. Mr. Coates, 36, heard her screaming and rushed upstairs to find her on the floor in agony. She then spent 4 months bedbound, and while she is now able to be transferred to the sofa or a wheelchair, she is usually in too much pain to go outside. After going private, an MRI revealed Ms. Coates was suffering from 3 or 4 impinging and abutting discs against her spinal cord. The couple have found a specialist in Barcelona who believes she would be eligible for surgery to replace the discs, at the cost of £22,000 each. Now the family desperately need to raise the cash for flights, accommodation and the cost of the expensive private tests and scans to check Ms. Coates is eligible for the potentially life-changing surgery. Mr. Coates said, "It's hard to over-exaggerate just how much of an effect this has had on our lives. For me, I have gone from having an outgoing, active, really sociable partner who went to the gym most days and doted on her daughter. She loved shopping and seeing friends. Seeing someone who is like that become completely dependent on me, is really hard to watch. She has lost her self-esteem. She spends most days crying. If she didn't have me as her partner, she wouldn't be able to care for her own children." Seeing that transformation, She is like a shell of her former self. The couple are angry that the reckless actions of the taxi driver have cost them so much. However, because there were no witnesses to the accident and no skid marks to indicate if he had been speeding, the driver was never prosecuted by police. Mr. Coates added, "Although we don't know the driver, he owes her a new life. One silly mistake has cost her everything, as she can't do anything she used to do anymore. He has taken a mom away from her 2 girls and stopped her being able to be a mother. He has taken a really active person and made her bedbound." Despite the driver not being prosecuted, Ms. Coates was awarded compensation after the accident, but it was from before she was left wheelchair-bound. Mr. Coates says that the couple regret accepting the paltry amount, which was under £2,000, as it in no way makes up for how badly the crash has affected her life. Ms. Coates is open about how much the operation means to her and how much it could change her life for the better. She said, "People take their lives for granted. I didn't realize I took my life for granted. I thought I appreciated everything. This has made me appreciate how good my life was, even though it was complicated and stressful." Despite applying for a power chair so she could leave the house with the rest of her family 6 months ago, she is still without one. A Bradford Teaching Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust spokesperson said, "The Trust fully recognizes the need to provide appropriate services for our patients in a timely manner. There was an initial problem with the referral which was recently resolved, and we are now awaiting information from Natalie in order to begin her assessment. The family are trying to raise enough money to get Ms. Coates over to Barcelona to see the specialist for scans to confirm if the surgery can go ahead, but desperately need funds for flights and the expensive tests. You can donate to their cause here.